Hello.
Hey Pete, another good day.
Hard to believe, but the uh, the uh, not streak. I don't want to call it a streak. The oddity of very little to do in the morning versus what's available in the afternoon is, to me, it's astounding.
And we're getting like week after week of it.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't think of the word because it's not so much day to day, but it's the consistency of it is. Um, I'm not going to say baffling. That's a strong word, but let's call it unique.
Yeah, it is, and it's really almost unprecedented. I don't remember. I remember a few days of it being. Usually, it would be Fridays, or some other news was out, but not day after day.
Yeah,
Oh, we had a good morning also.
we did have good. Well, we had a good morning because we were really prepared. If we were just
Right.
looking at the market all day, there really wasn't in the. If we were just only market specific the first 2 hours of the day, there would not have been that much to do. But because we spend so much incredible amount of time not only preparing a game plan, but then discussing the quality of the ideas to be ready for when 9:30 comes out, I think that's why we are. Um, Really in a good position every day when the market opens, regardless of what happens. And we're making market calls, we're making long calls, short calls, inside day calls, and
Right.
adding how much room do they have to go? Because it's not really always just about is the stock a long or a short. Because you have to have a discussion of whether or not it's a long or short now.
Right, exactly, exactly. Because I still think Facebook's a long. It didn't really do much today, but it's a perfect stock to say that is still a long. It was fine to get into it today, but it didn't do anything.
Right, right, exactly, and that's another thing. We've mentioned that whether it's a day trade or a longer term trade, because it doesn't move as fast as you would like it to, doesn't mean it's not a good trade anymore.
Right, exactly.
So I just want to go real quick just to give everybody a heads up. Obviously, you can go to tradingeducationblogs.com and either on the homepage of the website or click up here on blogs. You can definitely get the blog posts that we're about to discuss and the ones that we just highlighted, basically. If you haven't gotten this free report yet, I highly recommend it, especially you'll hear us mentioning now going into day trading mode, which essentially means you need these 4 price points to make sure that you're on top of your game. So we're essentially going to pull up this one here. And you could see a little bit surprised yesterday. However, we were looking for follow through today. Bulls gave us a lift yesterday, looking for follow through in the morning, and this is what I meant by day trading mode. And I think day trading mode is the right thought process right now, Marion. I don't know how active you are in trading groups on Facebook. I know you get quite a few people that reach out to you personally, both through whatever media available, but I can't believe the amount of guessing of what's going to happen next. It's actually mind numbing to listen to the passion with people are predicting what's going to happen and other people battling them on the other side. The amount of energy being expanded on it is actually mind boggling to me right now.
Right, and it's no better than gambling in a casino because they're saying, I mean, I bet on this, I bet this, I bet that, and I think this and I think that, and I hope this, I hope and pray. I'm like, oh, well, hope and pray isn't a really good game plan.
Yep, I agree. And look, the bottom line is unless you're talking about a longer term valuation of what's going on, for the most part, we're talking about what we're anticipating. Let's say over a 5 day window. We're not anticipating where China is going to be a year from now. We're
Right, exactly.
what is the yes, there's fundamentals at play globally right now, but we are trading. We're trading and again, it could be a swing trade or a day trade. Even if it's a swing trade, the ideas that we're discussing, and we make it very clear, if there's opportunities for a stock to go from what was it UNH, I believe, from 120 to 126.
Right.
If it's only a day trade, that still means you could day trade it long, but swing trade it up to that level. Now, this is maybe not the unbelievably best case scenario as far as the trend is concerned, but I think quite a few stocks are like that right now. But the point I'm making is day trading or swing trade, we're talking about from 120 to 126. We're not talking about, Q3 in February, Q3 in 2016.
Right.
So I think whatever side of the debate you're taking right now, you have to keep it in perspective. You're going to drive yourself crazy when it is very apparent people with billions of dollars behind them right now are still up in the air themselves. So, you searching fly on the wall is not going to find the answer. Well, let's wait till tomorrow and trade until it gets here.
Right.
So I'm not saying don't do the work. I don't want to give that impression. I'm not saying don't do the work, but driving yourself bananas about predicting what's going to happen at 2 o'clock tomorrow is just fruitless, because it's going to influence your trading as well.
Right, the here and now. Trade for the here and now and what the price action is telling you.
Right.
And then be cautious, because news is coming out at 2 o'clock tomorrow. You can't negate the fact that we're going to have news tomorrow and it's going to push the market one way or another. You have to be aware of what's going on also in the world.
So let's see. So obviously we got the big bull here. Pretty impressive 2 days in a row. Yesterday caught us a little bit by surprise that it was so persistent. Today we were kind of expecting it, though. It didn't take us by surprise today. Today was just a question of being patient to wait for it to start to unfold.
Right, and managing your trade.
Yep. I think maybe I should start making this trading recap color here green or red based on the day. I just realized that.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
All right. So this was the quote unquote surprise day yesterday, end of Tuesday on the 15th. You can see pretty much green across the board, very, very little red. And again, the size of the box is the market cap. So not only was it mostly green and a positive close yesterday, but it was all larger cap stocks as well. Here's the actual day that we were discussing it quite a bit yesterday. If you got caught off guard in the morning here, you had plenty of opportunity here and plenty of opportunity here to get involved in the afternoon move, and that's over $1 as well before it started to pull back here. So there was opportunity yesterday. Coming into today, we were dealing with the 20-period exponential moving average as possible resistance. These two levels here as possible resistance, which was I want to say around, I don't have the exact number, I can look it up in a second, 199 20 something, maybe 199.50, and then obviously the psychological number of 200. So here's the morning call, slightly bullish to the general market bias. Again, I put exclusively here general market bias because there were a lot of opportunities long and short today. We had a really good setup in WDC with the triple inside day on the daily chart. We'll take a quick look at that chart. And again, this is my bias, expecting lighter volume in the afternoon, trading without a trend. So bullish in the morning on follow through from today, and a little bit lighter volume in the afternoon with everybody kind of jockeying for position. And pleasantly, we didn't get lighter volume afternoon trading without trend. We actually did get some trading. So here's, again, very clean, long trades today. The one that's we kind of called last week, Marion, were these guys up here, Exxon and CVX, and we'll take a look at those stocks in a couple seconds as well. So another good green day across the board. Here's the follow through. Generally, we'll give a little bit of a pullback during lunch, but this was the interesting thing, that we actually closed on the highs, and you can see over here we took out those most recent levels that we were looking for. Now you have to, I'm not going to say be careful, because you don't want anybody going in hesitating and whatnot, but you definitely have to be on your game tomorrow. There's a lot of indecision heading into tomorrow. I personally would recommend, if you have had a good week and or you are still learning your way through the market, I would be a little cautious trading tomorrow afternoon, and quite honestly, even after the announcement. If you have a decent morning, no problem. Book it. Go to the, go get a coffee and sit back and watch the light show at 2:15. And you're going to see a lot of green. You're going to see a lot of red. You're going to see stuff floating all over the place. But then
a lot of volatility. It's volatility. A lot that we get crazy moves.
Yep. And I know you always say too, the first one's usually the wrong one.
Right.
So, be smart. Be smart that you don't have to necessarily jump in until the price action starts to make sense to you. Now, I will say this. All of that being said, more often than not, and again, we're trading probabilities, more often than not, when the dust settles, there's usually a good trend after that and then the next day. So we could be setting ourselves up for, let's say a good 90 minutes at the end of tomorrow, as well as a good Thursday, a good Friday. So it could be really exciting if the consensus of what comes out has a really good reason and everybody believes it, and we pick a direction. I'm not going to say long or short, because we came into today, had a slight bias. I think that there's still too much indecision, but I feel that Thursday afternoon after the announcement of Friday has a good possibility if there's a consensus on what they say. So coming into today, this is the list of stocks to buy. And if you've been following the video on YouTube or on the website every day, you can see this list it's kind of creeping up. It's like there's more people joining the family here, where there's, a week ago, it was, just a father and it was a single father and 3 kids. Now we got the Brady Bunch here. A lot of people starting to join now. The Googles we've been watching. We'll go over the charts in a second. Tesla was absolutely on the list today. So is UA. Obviously, it got that big pop in the middle of the day. Maybe we could touch on that for a second. ATVI was setting up very well. We were looking for Home Depot to get some follow through, and BBY has been strong for a while, as well as LB. Do I have Facebook in there twice? No, I don't. Okay. So I guess you want to talk about UA for a second, Marion?
Well, actually, it was Kevin Plank. If anybody who trades with me know, this is my favorite stock in the whole world, and so is the CEO. And he did me a great favor today. He came out and he upped the guidance on the stock, and and everybody joined in because everybody believes in him and they believe in this company. I think that's basically it. It pulled back for a moment to like the 101, maybe even below 101, and then it just kept climbing. I think it was an amazing trade today. If you could have gotten in, if you were long it, or if you could have even traded it for $3 afterwards.
I actually thought I fell asleep for a second and missed something because I logged out of the room, and I don't even think it was 10 minutes later you told me the stock was $3 higher. Yeah. I'm like, what, did I take a nap for 3 hours?
That's right. I just texted you 102.
Oh yeah, it was like immediate. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah. So I mean, this has been on our list. It was actually on our list today, that and Nike, because they had just, if you look at yesterday's that green bar from yesterday, well, it was on my list.
Oh no, it was definitely on the list.
It had just broken out of resistance. So we had, oh, there it is. It had broken out, and both that and Nike in that same sector, those were the two stronger ones in the sector. So we did have them on our radar today, and so I think a couple people were long, that in our room going into this. So that was actually a really, really nice trade.
Yep, there's no doubt it's been in the list for a few days. Right. And the thing that's important here is we made a big deal yesterday about discussing the price action here, and it was as simple as, yes, the stock has had some doji type days. There hasn't been, momentum type days where you could be, wow, I can't wait to trade the stock. However, you can't ignore the moving averages being in the right order, where it was very clear there were not that many stocks, despite what happened, that were still, the 20 was clearly above the 50 and trending. Now, whether or not you use those or not, you can't deny that was still a valid long. So the point that I want to make here is, clearly no reason to be short, so you're not getting hammered by this. However, you still should have been looking long because it was still a long, and generally speaking, now again, generally speaking, surprises like this are usually in the direction of the path of least resistance, like Jesse Livermore would say. So uptrend, and should not have shocked you that it happens in the direction of the uptrend. So pleasant surprise. I guess that paid you back a little bit for Facebook slowly
I'm still
going higher.
I still like Facebook.
No reason not to. It looks,
I think Facebook is still a long. It just hasn't gotten its momentum. It hasn't. It'll get a catalyst one day, and it'll have a nice run one day. I'm holding it until then.
So we know this day here, I got kind of this doji burned in my head. That was the earnings day, and we traded down, traded up, and really didn't go anywhere. There's a whole bunch of discussions on it. It wasn't so much disappointing, but it didn't blow out. And now we're kind of almost close to that number again prior to the previous earnings. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out until the next earnings. But I agree. Other than the moving average, the 20 is below the 50, although that's rising now as well. It's not a sell short. It's slowly continuing to make higher lows, and there's no reason to look at the other side, as opposed to our other buddy, where this stock is kind of in limbo right now. Maybe we have a little bit of head and shoulders bottom here for a longer term reversal pattern, and it did bounce today as well. But potential change of trend is one of the toughest areas to trade, because that, by its very definition, is there's no trend at that particular moment.
Right. It's also a potential change of trend.
Exactly. I always am very careful to put that potential in there.
Yeah.
So we were all over Netflix and Tesla as well in our watch list today. Netflix had a really good key reversal, engulfing candle, outside day, whatever you want to call it. It completely around the other day, closed on the high, opened above the previous day's high, danced around a little bit. We started to drop down time frames again, which we always do between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. We're usually on the 5-minute. 10 o'clock comes, we switch it over to 10. But you did get a clean entry here on the 10-minute chart, and just really good fluid price action. You didn't get that one giant shake you out type candle in the other direction. You know, for basically a $1 pullback in Netflix, that's a pretty orderly pullback for this stock.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say you definitely can't put your stops in, too close. You can't have them too tight because you're just going to get stopped out all over the place.
Exactly. You always want to make sure it's outside of the normal price action. So, it's interesting too, Mary, because we discuss the average true range on daily charts often. You can use the same thing on a 10-minute chart to get to get a feel for what the average price is. So at least you can get a feeling of the fluctuation. So we had a good solid day here at Netflix. Maybe one more day in that direction. We got obviously the 20-period exponential moving average here, but look, let's face it, moving averages are used to determine the average flow of things. I don't really like to lean on them as an exact spot where you can, oh, it's at the moving average, I'm going to short it now. Maybe the 200 has a little bit more credence for a longer term thing, but you have to be aware of it. You have to respect it. But 2 very powerful days in Netflix. I wouldn't be surprised if we get one more tomorrow.
Yep, I absolutely agree with you.
Tesla was another one. We were looking at 260 as the target for the last week or so, and you can clearly see here on the ascending wedge. And I guess this is something I want to make sure that I point out to everybody, especially if you're a newer trader and just tuning in for the first time on the videos. This is nothing more than a simple ascending wedge, and we're just waiting to see what direction it breaks out of. We know that 260 has been the level. We've had that as the target. And very similar to what Marion's talking about with her Facebook trade, stick with the trade until you see a reason not to. And this took, a week or so to finally break out, and you got paid. Again, getting paid is a metaphor here. You got paid for waiting, and eventually it hit the target and actually exceeded it. Now it's actually above the most recent level that we were looking at as resistance. So now we're looking all the way up here at 270. So it's got, interestingly, $10 price targets every time it clears out a new level right now, which clearly that makes it one of the better stocks to day trade if you can handle that type of volatility.
Yep, definitely agree.
Again, handle that volatility is the key there. We did have a few other longs in the list. ATVI was one of the top trades that we had on the list today. We looked at ATVI, Take-Two, and EA. And let me just zoom the weekly chart out so everybody can see what we're looking at. And interestingly, ATVI actually popped in the list for multiple scans yesterday. Again, if you want to go to the blog post every morning, it's usually up no later than 8 o'clock. But you can get a feel for some of the different scans and the reason that they do. And ATVI popped up in a couple of them, most notably that it was at or near this bigger resistance level here. But good follow through today. Traded with the market at the end of the day. I'll say it every day. Slow dollar, still a dollar. Doesn't don't have to break break a sweat when you're doing some good game planning. We had MO on the list again today. Again, not really that clean the last couple of weeks. We'd actually say it's been in a trading range, but today we were watching it because it was at the breakout level and looking for another push. And again, when we started the meeting out today saying stocks that have room to go, this clearly had $2 and got some follow through in there as well. So a lot of good stocks on the long side. We've been discussing the Goog, I can't even say it at this point in the day. GOOGL and GOOG. You can see we actually ended up getting an inside day today, so that will be a breakout mode trade for us tomorrow. So inside day means all of today's price action was inside yesterday's. So I guess, Marion, if we can qualify it for everybody, it's also an inside day at the top of the range. Even though it didn't break out, that's still constructive for a bullish idea in the fact that it's hovering near the high of the day.
The high of yesterday.
Yes. Yep. So today is hovering at the high of yesterday. Exactly. So we had some, any other longs you wanted to cover?
No, not that. How about the CVX and I remember some of our oil stocks.
Yep. We actually noticed about a week and a half ago that they were not rolling over. This bear flag here should have came down and retested the lows. And again, if you're new to basic technical analysis, that's a must trade, looking for it to retest the low or the high. When it doesn't push down there, that means something different is happening. And this bigger red candle here to me was the harbinger of no longer being a high conviction short. And lo and behold, we end up getting 3 days of indecision, and then a gap higher, and then another gap higher. So something different is going on in this area right now. So I think it's important to outline what that means from a trade perspective, because we've seen a lot of these, and I guess we could use GMCR as an example, and I'll come back to this, where it's definitely in a long-term downtrend, and even Win, for that matter, which has had a couple of good days. Win is actually going to be one of my better sell shorts tomorrow, just based on how 3 days now I'm probably open up into the 20 period moving average. But getting back to what we were just saying about CVX, as a trader, that's not a long. It's just a diminished short sale. It's kind of a do nothing now, I guess. Is that the right way to say it?
Yep, I would say, right, wait and see. Yeah, it's definitely not, it's do nothing. I agree.
So that whole sector, whether you believe it's a long-term bullish or bearish, what prices are doing and whatnot, that's not relevant. We're only paying attention to what's going on here. We had a really good pullback. It did not roll over like this one did and got crushed. This might have been the capitulatory move at the bottom. We won't know that for a little bit more time to come, but this was a really good sell short for a while, and it's not as good of a sell short anymore. And yet, look, you had almost the entire summer to be selling a short. We did notice an increase in volume. Very similar to what we've seen in GPro.
Right.
And lo and behold, GPro trading with the market a little bit now. It's not fighting the market. So you got big push down, 2 weeks of increased volume, which could be accumulation down there. Again, we're going to pay attention. Now, the reason I am leaning towards this being accumulation versus being a short covering rally. And if you look in the YouTube videos, you can find another video on how to identify a short covering rally. Short covering rally off of this volume is normally a violent spike to the upside, and we're not getting that, at least not yet anyway, which tells me that institutions are still buying as stocks going down. They're getting as much as they can with increased volume, because look, that's not retail buying a ton of stock at the bottom to make those candles look like that, or the volume. So it's going to be interesting to see how this ends up playing out. The inside days, not as big today of a list. However, there was one that was really interesting to us today, and almost another inside day, which kind of still makes it interesting tomorrow. We had 1, 2, 3 inside days in a row in WDC. We actually popped out a little bit today. Thought we were going to have a nice trend to the upside once we got above the previous day's high. It didn't happen, but now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dojis in a row, which represents 5 days of indecision, almost 4 inside days in a row. That indecision, more often than not, leads to these types of candles. You usually get 1 or 2 trend days. 2 would be ideal, but you have to have these types of stocks in your list, because consolidations lead to good trends. And again, you can go to the blog. You can see they're all outlined on the blog. I just happened to pull this list from the blog today. And just to give everybody an idea, that's usually on the bottom of the list here, the last one, inside days. So if you read the inside day list when you go to the blog every morning, just take a look at that and say, okay, it consolidated yesterday. Today I'm looking for a trend in that stock. And I guess we could finish up with our bearish stuff, stocks to sell short. Now, again, GPro is still technically a sell short based on the charts. It's just we're pointing out that something different is happening that might be reducing the conviction level to want to be short. And again, you could probably say that with a bunch of these, like Monsanto, Schlumberger, Halliburton. A lot of them are rolling over and in solid downtrends on the longer term picture. But right now, it just looks like the buyers, and you should be a buyer, is a much better trade. We're looking at FEYE, didn't trade long with FTNT and PANW as they have the last couple of days. We thought that would be a much better sell short today, but it didn't roll over. So the shorts aren't paying as aggressively right now. The longs are. But as we said in the blog this morning, you absolutely need to be prepared on both sides regardless. And that's kind of the mantra in the room right now. Be prepared either way. I'd rather be prepared if it doesn't come. But if it does, you're ready for it. And the shorts didn't pay off today because there was nothing to do on the short side. The bullish environment was just a better side to trade today. So it's going to be interesting to see how the market unfolds tomorrow. I think I'd be surprised, Marion, if we didn't hold where we were, trade a little bit higher in the opening, and then probably around 11 o'clock really see the volume dry up, and basically everybody anticipating something interesting being said at 2:15. How about you?
Oh, I definitely agree. I think everybody's going to be holding their breath after noon. People will try to get the fast trade in the morning, and then after that, everybody will step back and wait to see.
I do think there are going to be a couple of sell shorts. I really do like this win as a sell short, even though it did bounce. Nothing wrong with that. It didn't quite get back up over to here, but just so everybody just like a little preview for tomorrow. This is one of my bread and butter trades. You get a really good clean flag off the lows, closing near the highs. The entry would be a flat opening, looking to retest the yesterday's high as a sell short, or you would look for the ATR as a approximate area to look to start to sell short. But obviously, you do it in front of that level. Generally speaking, won't necessarily get up there all the way. So that's what I have for today. I think today was a good, interesting day. Because we were prepared, there was a lot of stuff to cycle through because we had a very definitive list. I was actually pretty happy about that, and we're getting some really good collaboration in the room, in the both the pre-market room, but really, really nice to see some more people stepping up and asking questions during the live room.
Yep, and come join us.
Absolutely. I'll bring the donuts.
I'll bring the coffee.
All right, Mary, thank you very much. Have a great night.
Okay, you too, Pete. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.